Morning all. Alright, so we're starting off today with a video previewing Colorado and Vegas. The Colorado Avalanche, my pick to win the Stanley Cup, so I'm going to stay to that in this round. I think this is going to be closer than people think. I know that there are people who are asking, well, why is there only one day off in between games for Vegas? That doesn't seem fair. We knew before the season started that the schedule being condensed was not only going to be restricted to the regular season, it was going to be restricted to the postseason too. They have to have the Stanley Cup awarded by a certain date, and so there's contraction going on trying to shrink down these playoffs as much as possible. What that also is going to hit is, I would imagine that the next round in the North we'll see back-to-backs again. And so, yeah, it's going to be a brutal schedule for everybody. And that extra rest may help a team more this year than any other year for the last while. But back in the 80s, that wasn't all that unusual to see a team, you win Game 7 and a couple nights later you're somewhere else. Or playing at home against somebody else. So, yeah, for Colorado, we'll see if they can take advantage of it early. And we'll see if Vegas takes that momentum they have from Game 7 and if they can use that early against Colorado as well. So, round one for Colorado was kind of a breeze against an undermanned St. Louis team that also, if everybody was healthy, I still say Colorado takes them out. Colorado won Game 1 4-1. The three stars in that game were Landeskog, McKinnon, and Makar. They won Game 2 6-3. McKinnon and Donskoy were amongst the three stars that night. Game 3, they won 5-1. Graves and Grubauer were amongst the three stars that night. And Game 4, they won 5-2. Rantanen and Landeskog were in the three stars that night. And so, yeah, those are your guys. Those are the ones you need to shut down. They need to beat Grubauer. They need to worry about McKinnon, Landeskog, Makar, Rantanen, Donskoy, and on some level, Graves as well. They trailed in that first round series by a grand total of 7 minutes and 12 seconds in Game 4. That's it. They didn't trail at all in Games 1, 2, or 3. So Vegas, if they can jump on them early, get them down by 1 or 2, maybe change the narrative a little bit. But for Colorado, the narrative has been pretty simple. They're the best team thus far, and yet we'll see against Vegas whether or not that holds up. McKinnon, 4 games, 6 goals, 3 assists, 9 points. He is a playoff performer. He showed that last year in the bubble. He was a guy who was on an incredible point streak, and then when they finally shut him out, then Colorado got eliminated. Landeskog in 4 games, 2 goals and 6 assists. Rantanen, 4 games, 1 goal, 6 assists. To me, that's the best line in hockey. We'll see whether or not that's the case as the playoffs roll along, but I do think it's the best line in hockey. Also, the wild cards in this, Donskoy, who had an amazing first round, 2 goals and an assist in 4 games. He had an amazing regular season as well. So for Donskoy, it's been a pretty good year. And then, of course, there's Cale Makar. And what is there to say about Cale Makar other than he's one of the best offensive defensemen in the league, who has better defensive skills than I think he gets credit for at times. A goal and 2 assists in 4 games in the first round tells you, yeah, he's pretty darn good. And then the guys that I'm looking for to get on the scoring track, Burakovsky, who had a good first round but only had the 1 assist to show for it in 4 games, and Alex Newhook, who had 1 goal in the 4 games, but what a goal. And the future is very bright for Newhook. I think this guy's going to be absolutely a keeper for the Colorado Avalanche. Grubauer in net, 4-0. 936 save percentage, 1.75 goals against. Vegas needs to get to him early. They need to start bringing doubt into the mind of Grubauer and the Avs. And special teams wise, 50% in that first round against St. Louis on the power play. Penalty kill, 77.8%. So they're going to want to make that penalty kill go up against Vegas, who, well, their power play really didn't get going against Minnesota. So there's definitely some reasons to look at this series and say Colorado could take this, and it could be 5 games, might be 6. Shots for and against, 36.3 shots for, 27.5 against. This is where these teams are very closely matched, and whoever ends up controlling the shot clock may very well end up being the team that wins the series. So we'll look at the Vegas side of things, and then we'll look at the overall matchup. I like to change these up because why not? So Vegas won game 1, 1-0 in overtime. Or Vegas lost game 1, 1-0 in overtime. Eriksson Ek gets the goal at 3 minutes and 20 seconds and quiets the Fortress. Game 2, Vegas wins 3-1. They trailed 1-0 for 18 seconds, and then that trailing was over. And they seemed to get it together. Game 3, they won 5-2, and they trailed 2-0 after the first in that game. So some resilience shown by Vegas in that one. Game 4, they won 4-0. They had 35 saves from Fleury, and everything looked great. Then they came home for Game 5, and they lost 4-2, as Cam Talbot saved 38 shots in that game. Game 6, Talbot gets the shutout, 3-0 to defeat Golden Knights. 23 saves in that one. But then in Game 7, they remembered how to score. Janmark gets a hat trick, and they won last night 6-2. So for Vegas, yeah, it's been an up and down ride, but they got through that first round. I think winning a Game 7 at home, I think all of this is important psychologically. We'll see what happens in round 2. Their leading scorers, Janmark is actually their leading scorer thanks to last night's hat trick. 7 games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. Tuck, 7 games, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points. Stone, 7 games, 4 goals, 1 assist, 5 points. His job will be to steal the puck from the McKinnon line. Stevenson, 7 games, 5 assists. Chandler Stevenson played very well. I would expect a goal in this series from him. And then the wild cards, I went with Smith and Marchessault. These are the original Golden Knights, right? Smith, 1 goal, 2 assists in 7 games. Marchessault just had the 1 goal in the first round. As dangerous as that line looked, offensively, they didn't get the goals that one might think they should. Carlson ended up with 4 points in that series. So again, Carlson, Smith, Marchessault, keep an eye on them. And then the guys that we're going to see get going. Pacioretty only played the 1 game, had the 1 goal last night. As long as he's good to go for this series against Colorado, as long as he can stay in it, I think he's a huge difference maker. Pietrangelo, 7 games and 3 assists for him, and I think there's a goal in him for this upcoming series. Now, of course, in net, it's Marc-Andre Fleury, who was 4-3 in the first round, .931 save percentage, 1.71 goals against. These numbers are very similar between Grubauer and Fleury. We'll see which one's the better goaltender in this series. Power plays. Vegas only ends up being 13.3% on the power play in the first round. Their penalty kill, 81.8%. So their special teams were kind of middling, but they end up being okay. They just need to control that power play for the Colorado Avalanche, which is easier said than done. Shots for, 32.1 per game. Shots against, 24.9 per game against for Vegas. So they keep that shots against total down. And if they do that against Colorado, yeah, you got an excellent chance of winning. So, how did the series between these teams go this year? Even. It ends up with 4 wins for both teams. So, February 14th, Vegas wins at home 1-0 over Colorado. February 16th, Colorado wins 3-2 in Vegas. February 20th, this is the Lake Tahoe game, which of course was delayed and it was kind of a mess, but Colorado wins it 3-2. February 22nd, Vegas beats Colorado in Colorado 3-0. And then Colorado wins 5-1 against Vegas on March 25th at home. March 27th, Vegas in Colorado wins 3-2 in overtime. April 28th, Vegas won at home 5-2. And May 10th, Colorado went into Vegas and won 2-1. So it's an evenly matched series. There's only the 1 overtime game there. Vegas won that. Vegas did win 2 of their 4 wins by a shutout. So this will be a very interesting series. Like I said, I honestly think this is going to be pretty evenly matched. I'm taking Colorado. Like I said, my bracket, I have Colorado against Carolina in the final, and we'll see how long it is before that's broken. I don't think it's going to take that long, to be honest, because just parity being as it is, Tampa being as they are, and Vegas being as they are. The interesting thing is you could make the argument that Carolina and Tampa looks like a Stanley Cup final matchup. You could make the argument this looks like a Stanley Cup final matchup as well. That these are 2 teams that probably would be meeting around later under normal circumstances. And if it was a 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15 kind of league, that might be your finals matchup, might be between these two. But then you get into the whole discussion of, well, wait a minute, if we were 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, you'd have to have a balanced schedule. Some of these teams wouldn't have the records they do if we had a balanced schedule. That's the miracle of 2021 and the mystery of it as well. Teams have great records, and we'll never really know who the true greats really were, because between now and next season, things are going to change a lot for a lot of teams. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Again, it starts tomorrow, and that does tend to favor Colorado. But once you're into it, once that first game is done, especially if Vegas brings the physicality that they showed against Minnesota last night, yeah, then you're evening up the series pretty well. It's going to come down to the first line for Colorado. They've got a good second line as well. I'm not trying to besmirch that or anything. Vegas can roll 4 lines, and their top 3 lines are pretty dangerous. Keep an eye out for Alex Tuch and the home run passes they try to throw to him. And on the Colorado side, just, don't take anything for granted with Colorado. If Vegas gets a lead, they're going to have to do their best to not sit back at all. This should be a series where we see a lot of attacking and not so much of the sitting back. There shouldn't be any kind of trap hockey in this. This should be a very exciting series, and I'm here for it. So there you go. Let me know your winner. Of course, on the community page, I've posted a poll on who you think is going to win between Colorado and Vegas, and I posted as well for who's going to win between Carolina and Tampa. So always fun to look at that when everything's all said and done. But hey, this should be a good one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.